Greetings, y'all. Listen, if I told you that there was a giant tulip out there in outer space, you'd probably think I was nuts. And you might be right, but not because of the tulip. There is a giant tulip in outer space out yonder, and I'm going to prove it to you tonight. Tonight we're going to take a picture of it. We're going after the Tulip Nebula. The Tulip Nebula is a hydrogen emission nebula out in the constellation of Cygnus. It's about 5,800 light years away from Earth. Now the Tulip Nebula spans an area of about 70 light years across. That's a big old tulip. 70 light years is a long way. Anyhow, the Tulip Nebula. So we're looking for the Tulip Nebula tonight. We sit right out here pointing up at the North Star getting ready to go. So let's go look for the Tulip Nebula. It's over here somewhere. Here's a crescent. Yes, it's right out here. There it is right there. Tulip Nebula. So I'm going to go ahead and put my mark back in there so I can get centered. First, I'm just going to click on one of these stars so I can get my camera frame up here. So here's how my telescope is going to be looking at the Tulip Nebula. Well, see, that looks like it's about 90 degrees out, doesn't it? It doesn't fit all in there. But if I can rotate it, then it's going to fit it all in there. So I'm just getting the guiding on that star for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and rotate it about 90 degrees. See, that's showing me how the camera is going to frame it up. And I think that right there looks just about how I want it framed up. Now let me show you how I rotate this camera. So I'm going to loosen these set screws here on the front. I got to loosen this one. I'm going to loosen this one here in the front. And there's one under the bottom. I'm going to loosen it. There we go. Now I'm going to rotate what I think is 65 degrees. So how about that right there? I'm going to tighten these back up now. Because once we get it right, we don't want it to move. Now, notice there's not a star to click on there, and Stellarium doesn't seem to know about the Tulip Nebula. So, how are we going to use Stellarium to center? Well, let me show you. I'm going to put a marker right there, right in this where I want the center of my frame to be. And the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to put my cursor on it, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and do Shift left click. So watch this. Put my marker right there. See that? Shift left click just puts a marker. Now I can select it. And now I have all the data up here on my center frame. The dogs are chasing something. Not sure what they after. Just touch the space bar now and it'll go and keep that marker centered. Anyhow, this is where we want to be. You get all the data from the marker. What are you dogs after? I ain't sure what it is, but they going to get it, whatever it is. Now look at there. I'm not happy with that because I'm too close to the bottom here, so I want to raise it up a little. So I'm going to change my marker to put my marker right about here. So just put marker 2 there. I'm going to center up on that. Now, so I don't get confused, I just Shift click, Shift, and now right click on marker 1. It's going to go away. See that? Now we're centered up on marker 2. That's better. Now look over here. It shows the altitude. That's the degrees above the horizon is 12 degrees. Now this is back in the northeast. I cannot see above the roof of my house until 26 degrees. So the Tulip Nebula has got to rise. See back here, it's got to rise. It's going to move like this. It's going to move up like this. So it's got to move up another 14 degrees before it comes up behind the roof of my house. Right there. We are polar lined. Everything's done. We're just killing time waiting on it to come above the roof of the house now. It's going to be about probably another hour and 15 minutes. So I'm just going to go and fool around with the telescope. I'll probably get focused, and I'll do the guiding Autoguide calibration while I'm waiting on the Tulip Nebula to come from behind my house.
Now there are two alligators in my pond. You see one of them right out there. You see his eye shining? See his red eye shining? That's one of my alligators right there. Let me see if I can zoom in on him a little bit. That's one of my alligators right there. You see his eye shining. His eye shining red. Let's see if we can get a little closer to him. See how close we can get before he goes under the water. Here he is right there. Look at there. See his eye shining red? That's the alligator right there. Look at him. There he is. How about that? See him right there? One of my alligators. There's another one out there somewhere. There's two of them in there. I saw them both just a little while ago. Let's see where I'm walking here. Don't want to step on a snake or something. Look at him. There he is right there. Let's see if we can see the other one. Yep, there he is. There's the other one right through that tree branch. You see him there? There's the other one right there. Let's see if we can see him on the other side of the tree. He'll stay. Yep, there he is right there. How about that? There's the other one right there. See how close we can get to him. Look at him. He ain't scared at all. There he is. One of my alligators right there. See if the other one's still out there. Well, I don't like to fell in the pond. Now the other, yeah, there he is right there. He's still there. One of them right there. And there's the other one right there. How about that? Two alligators right in my pond.
Okay, there's our marker right there, marker 2, that we put on top of the Tulip Nebula. Go over here and look. It's 27 degrees. So it just cleared the roof of my house. Remember, it clears the roof of my house at 26 degrees. So fooling around with those alligators, we then gave up a degree. But that's okay because it's still down in the horizon haze. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get focused. And I'll use this star Vega right here just because it's a big star close by. We'll do our focus right here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead over here close to the celestial equator and do my mount synchronization. Let's put that celestial equator up and see what that looks like. So running from east to west here. Altair's not high enough. I can't see it yet. So let's see what else is out there. Let's see. There's got to be a target over here. Let's put up the deep sky objects. If I can find a star cluster over here somewhere. How about that right there? See what that one looks like. And I don't know. Up right over here, the Wild Duck Star Cluster. Why don't we use that for our what am I trying to say? For our Autoguide calibration. That's what we'll do. We'll use a Wild Duck cluster for our Autoguide calibration. So after we get focused on Vega, we'll swing over there to the Wild Duck cluster, just because it's real close, see here, to the celestial equator. It's got a bunch of good stars in there, and it's close to the horizon. Let's make sure it's above my house. And it will be above my house here by the time we swing around there to it. And remember, when it's down close to the horizon like this, I get a better calibration because my mount is standing more straight up and down.
All right, when I click this button, the telescope ought to slew on over to Vega. So here we go. And there goes the telescope, just like we told it to do. And I can tell you it is going in the right direction to point at Vega. So that's a good sign. There it is. The telescope thinks that it's pointed at Vega. Let's go see if it is.
Okay, there we are. Focus. Okay, the Batanov's mask is off. Let's get on over to the Wild Duck cluster. Let's see if I can go find it again.
Okay, we're auto-calibrated, we're polar aligned, we're focused. We are ready to get on over to the Tulip Nebula. So here we are on the Tulip Nebula. It's called up where we want it to be. We set our marker for center. We have rotated the camera. So let's get on there and make this happen. So we'll go to the framing tab. We'll click here and it's going to call in the coordinates that we are centered on right here, the Tulip Nebula. All right, there it is, the Tulip Nebula right there. Now this doesn't know the rotation, so if we go and put this on 50, or remember we actually got on, there we go. That's how we're going to be framed up right there, which is the way we want it to be. So as soon as I click this button, it's going to swing on over to the Tulip Nebula. Let's watch it do that. There it goes, over towards the Tulip Nebula, just like we told it to do. That is a big old rig right there. Look at the image train back there. I tightened up some things. Now it thinks it's on the Tulip Nebula. Let's see if it is. It's doing its first plates off. Plates off work. It was not on the Tulip Nebula. Did a quick readjustment. Now it's going to settle to take another picture and see did it get on top of the Tulip Nebula this time. And I bet it did. I bet it's there. Here's the plates off. Yep, it's starting guiding. That means it was on the Tulip. Changing to the HA filter. And off it goes. So we might be in the right spot. We might not be. But you know what? We'll know here in about 9 minutes when our first HA image comes in. But I'm going to let it run, and I'll be back with you in about 8.5 minutes to look at the first HA image on the Tulip Nebula. All right, there it is right there, the telescope, looking back up over the roof of my house. And you can see it's looking away from the moon. The moon is off out there to the side. So don't misunderstand, that full moon is still giving us some problems. But because we're looking at almost 90 degrees away from the moon, it's not as bad as it could be. Like I explained to you earlier, one of the reasons I picked a target up in the north is so that I wouldn't have to be looking back to the south right at that moon. But anyhow, you see it there, the telescope looking kind of sideways to the moon. And I know you can't hear them, or you can't see them, but do you hear those whippoorwills? Listen to that. Whippoorwills are just going nuts out there. All right, our first HA of the Tulip Nebula just came in. There it is. You can see it. We're definitely framed up correctly. There's the expanse of the tulip. Right there you can see the two dark stems or whatever that is coming up in there. And over here's the little dimple that's in the tulip. So yeah, this is it. There it is, the Tulip Nebula. How about that? How about that? So that's one 10-minute HA exposure. We're going to get a whole bunch of more of those tonight. And I'll tell you what, unless anything weird comes up, I'm just going to let it run, and then we'll come back out here and take a peek at some O3 whenever they come in. There it is, the Tulip Nebula. Who would have thought that there's a big giant tulip in outer space? Who would have thought? There it is, though. Tulip in outer space. How about that? Let's take a look at the auto guiding here. You can see we're under 1. It's pretty. I'm happy with that. It's giving us mostly round stars. You see it bouncing all over the place here. That's not because of bad tracking or anything else. That's because of seeing conditions here in Central Florida. It's very humid, and the atmospheric distortion is what's making this guide star bounce all around like this. So any of the oblong stars or the struggle that it has with tracking is not because of the mount. It's just the atmospheric conditions out here in Central Florida, but it's going to handle it. It's working just fine. So we'll be back again to take a peek at some O3 when it comes in. Well, told you we'd come back and take a look at an O3 when it came in, and it did. We've got a couple of them in here. One thing I want to point out to you before we take a look, let me go back to the first HAs that you took a look at. This was the first HA that came in. Right here, you see the Tulip Nebula there pretty good. And then take a look at this one, and then this is like the third one. You see how it got a lot dimmer. You see that? Let me go back to the first one that came in. This one, here's the first one. And then look over here, here's another HA that came in about 50 minutes later. Now watch, when I call this next one up, watch how dim it gets. You see that? You can barely even see it. And do you know what happened? I'll tell you what happened. My dew heaters turned off. I've got a short in my cord or something. The dew heaters turned off, and I didn't notice it, and the lens on the telescope dewed up. So that's what happened. So those first 5 HAs I took are going to be unusable. Once I noticed that my lens had dewed up and got my dew heaters working again, take notice of the next HA that came in. I'm calling it up right now. Look at the difference from that one to this one. How about that? That's what it really ought to look like right there. You can see a lot more detail than this one than you can even in the first one. So yeah, this is what the tulip looks like when you don't have dew covering your lens. I just took a look. The telescope is still dew free. The dew heaters are still working. So let's take a peek at the O3s that just came in. I'll just call up the last one. And you see the same star pattern there. You don't see a lot of nebulosity. If I zoom in here, you can see some right in through here. So anyhow, there's the O3. Problem with the dew. That problem has been straightened out. I regret that we lost about an hour of imaging tonight because of the dew, but we did figure it out. We did fix it. So rest of the night is going to go pretty good. All right, here we set on night 3, getting ready to go on the Tulip Nebula. Night 1 was okay. I lost about an hour or an hour and a half of imaging because my dew heaters turned off and I didn't notice it, so I got fog on the lens. So we lost about an hour and a half on night 1. Night 2 was a complete wash. I got one image and then the clouds rolled in and they never left.
So this is night 3. It will actually be the second night that we get any good images. It's supposed to be clear all night though, so we should get a good 6 hours of images on the Tulip Nebula tonight. Well, I wasn't out here when the first picture came in, but here it is, the first HA picture of the night of the Tulip Nebula. You can see here it's bottom side upwards from what we would think of as a tulip. See the 2 dust lanes coming down here. There's the little knot on the side. That's pretty good signal right there. I think we're going to end up getting a really good picture out of this. So there it is right there, the Tulip Nebula. How about that? We'll watch the next one come in. That would be a lot of math. 200 seconds. So what's that? A little over 3 minutes until the next one comes in. So we'll watch the next one come in together in a little over 3 minutes. All right, I sped up time about 5 seconds. Let's watch it come in together. Here it is, the next HA of the Tulip Nebula. There it is right there. How about that? How about that? Tulip Nebula, a great big giant tulip in outer space. Who would have thought? There it is. So the whippoorwills are singing, the owls are screeching and yelling at each other. The deer is out in the woods snorting and blowing at me. I can hear the wild boars crashing around out in the woods. I can hear the other animals down at the corn feeder fighting over the corn out there. The alligators are swimming in my pond. None of them are in the pool though, I checked. So all is well on the pool deck this night. And we just took a picture of a giant tulip in outer space.